Yeah, tough game for the Huskies. Our first half, I thought that was our most selfish first half, and anybody that was in the building saw it. Offensively, we were very, very poor. We took very poor shots, very poor decisions, and you can't do that against a team like Wisconsin. You can't do it against any team, and that was the most disappointing. I didn't think our competitive spirit and our togetherness, like playing for one another in that first half, it wasn't present, and you're going to get smacked. I mean, we were very fortunate. Would it end up 17? That wasn't a 17-point game. Anybody who was in that build, that was a 25-point game. And, give Wisconsin a lot of credit. Like, they made 17 threes. Like, you still have to make 17 threes. Even if you're open, like, you still got to make them. And, I thought some were contested. Carrington was obviously terrific. He had some deep ones, but that's what he does. And we got him going in the first half. We screwed up a defensive assignment where our guard didn't go over the top, went under. He banged a three, and that's what he does. But, I thought Boyd's aggressiveness early in the game, I thought he dominated our guards. He got wherever he wanted to. He got to the rim. He stripped a couple of our guys, took off for layups, early that got him going. And then they feed off him, like his energy and his competitive spirit. That's why he's one of the best, not just point guards in our league, but just one of the best players in the country this year. And, they're a tough matchup for us. They shoot the ball at an extremely high level. Their bigs can really stretch it. Even 32, he's probably the one guy on their team where if you're like, hey, we got to give up a three, it's to him. And he knocks down two of them tonight. Not that he's not capable, like he's a very good player, but, he knocked one down early, and then it kind of snowballed on us.
On Friday, you talked about the margin for errors being thin. You got two good offensive games from two of your stars. Just what happened with Wesley tonight? Like those looks, were they good looks? Were they not good looks?
No. A lot of bad shots in the first half. Like just forcing it, And there's times where he forces it and good things happen, but tonight, out of his 17 shots, probably two of them were good shots, And it just kind of, he kept putting more pressure on himself. But he's got to trust his teammates to be able to get him shots because it's not good offense when he does that.
Then to like that right there, when the margins are so thin, just what does it then take? Does it put more pressure on somebody else, or does somebody else need to step
it
up?
Kills our transition defense. Like when you're taking crazy shots, it kills your transition defense because our guys don't even know that we're taking some of those shots. And he wasn't the only one in that first half. There's a lot of them, but, you take away his 1 for 17, we're 28 of 46 with the rest of the team. The rest of the team almost shot 60%. And so we've got to spread the ball around a little more, and we got to play a little bit more together. And like I said, he wasn't the only one in the first half, but our ball and body movement especially wasn't good enough not to win any game.
What's the update with Jacob and what happened, and when do you expect him back?
Yeah, the two guys, Bryson, he's going through a personal matter, and that's kind of all I'll comment on that. And then Jacob, he re-injured his foot kind of in a non-contact kind of walk through practice yesterday. And so, yeah, super, like, my heart aches for that kid. It really does. He, and he's from Wisconsin. Like, this was a game he was looking forward to, and to have that happen, is just, it's hard.
You had 7 scholarship guys tonight. You're never going to make an excuse for that, but it just seems like you're going to have to come out and punch people in the mouth over and over and over again to get a win from here on out.
Well, we got to play together for one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have 5, 7. If we play like that and play selfish, we have no chance. We have no chance of beating high school team, anybody. When we play that way offensively, it's embarrassing. And we're a better – I haven't seen that team, this year. That's what was kind of disappointing about it. I thought, when you're low on numbers and your back's to the wall, like, you got to rely on each other. And I thought we didn't do that tonight.
Zoom even commented you came out a little bit sluggish. You're saying there's a lot of selfishness and crazy shots. What do you do with this? Do you address it or do you just flush it?
No, you can't flush it. Like, they got to see it. Like, you can't run from that. Everybody that was in that building saw it. And I told him, yeah, you're playing with the Huskies on the front of your jersey, but you also got to have some pride in your name too, and everybody in the gym watched how you play personally, and we got to hold ourselves to a higher personal standard of how you perform on the court individually too. And you got to bring your best collectively for the team to help us out. But with some of our individual performances, it's not good enough. And at this time of year, your best players got to play.
Yeah, sometimes you're saying it's,
Yeah.
selfish and taking crazy shots. And, I saw some guys just trying to do too much. But one of the bright spots that I saw some good stuff from Nikola tonight.
And it's funny you said that because he's the one guy that passes the basketball. He's the guy that was actually rebounding. And I wouldn't say the one guy I thought Hannes passed the ball too. And some other guy. I thought Cortland had some good passes in that second half. But like I said, if you can't just have three guys passing. I thought Zoom, his energy and his intent was much better in that second half. Like he came out and played with some force and some urgency in the second half. But when you're one of the best players, you can't do that for just a half. And I'm not letting Zoom off the hook with that. He's too important and he's too good of a player to play 20 minutes. He needs to have that focus and urgency for 40 minutes. So does Wesley. So does Hannes. So does now everybody. We only got 7 guys now, but or 8 with BJ. I mean, proud of him. He came in and knocked down a shot. And he was ready for his moment.
How much did not having Bryson Tucker and not having Frank affect your defense as well?
I don't know tonight. You gave up 17 threes. It's hard for Frank to guard out there on that perimeter too. And it wasn't like they were just killing us at the front of the rim. Boyd drove by us a couple times and got to the rim, but if Frank's down there, he's throwing it out for a three. And so these are really hard games when you're playing Wisconsin for shot blocking bigs. And like I said, I don't think it would have made much of a difference tonight. To be honest, just with our energy, and it was our offense, which is what killed us tonight.
Yeah, going back to that part at the beginning of the game, you guys go down 17-4. I think you guys had 3 turnovers there in that early portion. What did you see there?
Trying to do too much, just bad offensive plays, trying to do too much, and against good defensive teams. I thought they did a really good job early on. Our guards, we were struggling to get by them. We couldn't get by them, and then they were swiping at the basketball, and we were turning it over.
You talk about that selfishness, that sluggishness that you saw there early on. As the head coach, what is that message like for you over the next couple of days? How do you just kind of get that out of this team?
Yeah, if winning's important and your teammates are important, you don't do that stuff. It's pretty black and white. In order for us to be successful, they better lean into each other. They better trust each other. And if they don't, the result's going to be the exact same on Wednesday night. It just is. If you want to play an individual sport, go play tennis or golf. You have to rely on the other 4 guys on the court. Guys coming off the bench, you have to do your part. You have to realize that Carrington has made 7 threes, and when you get in and you just leave him wide open, what do you think he's going to do? And so there was things that just happened tonight that I haven't seen in practice or in games from our team this year. And, and that's what was most disappointing.
And then going back to Nikola a little bit there, it seemed that she just looked more comfortable, more in the flow of things. Can you talk a little bit about that process and what it took to get him here?
Yeah, no, he did. And it's probably I should have probably been playing him a lot more, to be honest with you. He, sometimes with, older guys, you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. But, if we got to play him. His IQ and his ability, his passing ability, we have to play him. And it'll be good because it'll really help him for next year too.
On the topic of energy, Lathan, since you guys got him back, it seems like that getting him consistent minutes, is whether it's been just getting him in game shape, foul trouble, matchups, just been a struggle today. Seemed like under the basket he got beat for a couple of rebounds, but the energy was there. Just what did you see from him today, and what have you kind of seen overall since you've been working him back?
Yeah, kind of the same. I think he is playing hard. He is. He's playing hard, but you got to come up with those rebounds now. You mentioned, there was probably 3 or 4 where it's one-on-one for the basketball, and you got to come down with it. And sometimes he did, but I'm proud of his effort because he is trying, he is playing hard. You know, and now hopefully some, you know, if he keeps doing that, you know, something good will happen for him.
Any other questions for Coach?
Awesome, thanks.